Hello, Algebra 2. This is the agenda for November 4th. The topic is matching quadratic graphs to equations using the vertex h and k. So this is for homework tonight, homework number 35. You're going to match the quadratic equation to the picture graph on the worksheet. So the homework worksheet is available at the end of this video and also as a PDF file for you to view it or print it from Google Classroom. Okay, I'd like you to just sit and listen and pay attention while I review how to find the vertex from the equation. These are very important, so please pay attention. So these are a lot of equations. Make sure I'm on a pen. And what you need to know is the location of h and k from an equation. You need to know that H is that fancy word we've been using, counterintuitive. And all that means it's opposite of what you see. And that only applies to H. K is just the regular number that you see. You should also know that H is in the inside of the parentheses next to the X, and K is always on the outside of the parentheses. So location matters. So here you can easily see that this position is H and this is K. So H is always next to X inside the parentheses and K is always on the outside of the parentheses. Now, before we get going here, and you're still just listening, I just want to review what the vertex is. And I'm just drawing a quick graph over here as soon as I can pick up a different color. Pen doesn't want to pick up a different color. Come on. Okay, well, that's all right. So let me just draw a graph, say a parabola. That's the fancy name for the graph of a quadratic. Let's just say it's drawn right here. This dot right here at the bottom center is your vertex. So that's the dot that we're talking about, the vertex right there, okay? And it's a very important dot in matching your graphs, okay? All right, I'm going to start right here. We are going to identify what numbers are what numbers that the vertex is at. So we're going to use parentheses and comma. We're going to label our vertex. Remember, H is always opposite of what you see. So you see -4, but you use +4. You have to remember that H is always opposite of what you see. That's for the H. K is just whatever you see. So for K, we use -2. And that's our vertex. If we were to see that on a graph, and you're still just listening, if you were to see that on a graph, that just means your graph vertex dot would be over 4 and then down 2. So over 4, down 2. So the graph would look something like that. That's all. But it's very important that you know that this is the vertex is at 4, -2, and that we can read that right off the equation. So you can see it just by looking here and here. This is very important and easy. Okay, so what happens up here? Remember, H is always by the X inside the parentheses. K is always outside the parentheses. So what do we do when we don't see a number for H? Then we use 0. So this vertex is at 0, 9. And the next one. So H is always inside the parentheses. K is always on the outside. So what happens when we don't see anything for K? Then we're going to use 0. H is opposite of what we see. So we see +3, you need -3. K is not there, so we use 0. Okay? All right, so what do you think the next one would be? What would be the next one for the vertex? Think in your head what that would be, and then I'll write it down. Remember H, oops. Oh, this doesn't want to work. Hold on, I'm trying to Get it backwards. There we go. Remember, H is inside the parentheses, K is on the outside. So I hope in your head you're thinking, oh, that vertex is at -7 because H is opposite, -7, -5. Okay? All right, that's how we find the vertex. So this is your steps to complete your homework. You're going to do what we just did. Identify the vertex number as H, K. Then just find the graph with the same vertex numbers. That's all you have to do today. Just find the graph with the same vertex number. Now check if there is a negative out front by A. Now what happens if you have a negative right out here? What if that's a negative? Then the graph is going to be upside down. So let me give you an example. And again, you're just watching. Y is equal to negative. I'm just making it up. Oh, I don't know. +2 minus 8. So because of that negative sign right there, then what happens with the graph? Then the graph is upside down. So you have to be careful for that negative, okay? So if you have a negative in the front, we call that a lead negative. So the graph instead would be, so the vertex on this one would be where? So where's your H and K? H and K, right? This would be at -2 because H is opposite. So -2, -8. And then because of this negative, we have to make sure the graph is upside down. So -2, -8 for the vertex would be left 2, down 8. And instead of the graph opening up, the graph would open down. That's all. And the graph opens down because of this negative that's in the front of the equation right here, okay? So be careful of that on the homework because I did put a few of those on there. Okay, so this is just an example. You don't have to write this down. This is an example of how to do the homework. So if you can take a minute to find the vertex for me, think in your head, what would the vertex be? And then if you can take a minute, once you have the vertex, decide, does that match up to A, B, or C? So take a minute to decide. Identify the vertex, and then does that match to graph A, B, or C? So H and K, H is opposite, so you should be looking for something not with -4, but +4 and 3. So 4, 3. Which graph has a vertex at 4, 3? Here's the vertex on the first graph, the second graph, and the third graph. So your homework just asks you which one of those dots is at 4, 3. That's it. And hopefully you picked the right answer. It's C. Because this dot is over 4, up 3. And that's the vertex. So 4, 3. Okay, so what you're going to write on your homework paper is just the letter C. So there are a total of 6 problems. You don't have to copy the graphs. You only have to list out your A, B, C, or D final answer. And it may be easier for you to view this assignment from the PDF file. So you can go back to Google Classroom and open that PDF file and view the assignment there. Or you can print the assignment too if you prefer. But here on the next slides, I have them for you. So this is homework number 35. Identify the vertex and then match the equation to the correct graph. So this is number 1, and then this is number 2. And if you're doing your homework right now, then you can hit pause. And that's fine. Just don't forget to write down your vertex, right? And so what is your vertex? What is your H, K from the equations? So you should at the bare minimum be writing down the vertex, right? And then match it to the letter A, B, C, or D. So hit pause if you're doing this from this video. Otherwise, I'm going to move on. There's a total of 6 problems. So hit pause and then you can come back to the video. Here's the next 2 problems. Here's number 3 and number 4. There's 2 more problems that we have to do, so if you want to hit pause, and here's number 5 and number 6. And that's the end of the homework. Thank you, you guys. I hope you have a great day.